So welcome everyone to the Property Subcommittee of Perth and Kinross Council, held on Monday the 19th of April 21, and the time is approximately 10:05. My name is Murray Lyle and I'm the convener of the meeting this morning. Do we have any apologies for this morning's meeting?
Yes, we have apologies from Councillor Shires and Councillor Duff is substituting.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any declarations of interest for the meeting this morning? We have no declarations of interest indicated, so we move on to the next item where we have a roll call. Apologies of all members, and could we begin with Charlotte? Would you like to do the roll call?
Yes, that'd be fine. Okay, obviously we have Councillor Lyle. If you could just confirm your attendance. Councillor McCall?
Present.
Councillor Bailey?
Present.
Councillor Duff? Councillor Duff? Okay, and do we have Councillor Lane yet? No. Councillor McEwen?
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson?
Present.
Okay, could we just go back to Councillor Duff?
Could Audrey maybe see if you can call him back in again, please? If he's
Councillor Duff is present in the meeting because I can currently see him with his thumbs up on screen.
Oh, okay.
However, he doesn't appear to be able to unmute his microphone.
Okay.
Okay.
And just check again on Councillor Lang. Have we got Grant Lang? No, not at present.
Sorry, convener, and just for the record, present. I managed to get the unmute working. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Move on to the next item, which is the minutes of the previous meeting of the 26th of October 2020. Is everyone content that that is an accurate minute?
Agreed.
Are there any questions regarding the minute that don't appear on the agenda? I don't see any, so I'll proceed to item 4, which is the school estate programme progress update. And could I ask, I'm not sure who's doing it, Stephen Crawford, possibly?
Convener, I'm going to run through the report if that's okay.
Yep, Greg, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, convener. So what I propose to do is just run through some of the kind of highlights within the main body of the report, and then what I'll do is go on to the appendix. I'll highlight anything within each of the projects within the appendix, and then I'll pause and I'll take any questions if any come forward, and we'll run through like that. Okay, so this report is an update for the property subcommittee following the last update, which was on the 26th of October 2020. Obviously, during the last 12-13 months, there's been a lot of challenges in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, which has an impact across all the projects and all the work we have been doing over the last kind of 12-13 months. The long-term impact of the pandemic at the minute, we're not fully aware of that, whether it's cost or whether it's project timescales, but we're obviously looking to minimise any delays and to keep costs to a minimal as we move forward. In relation to Brexit, we are starting to see increase in steel prices, which will also be another consideration as part of taking the school estate projects forward. And obviously internally, a lot of our key resources internally, certainly within Stephen's, Crawford's team within property services, a lot of resources have had to be dedicated to recovery priorities within our schools. For example, working through the ventilation within our schools to ensure that they meet the Scottish Government guidance. And also a lot of non-essential works across the school estate have had to be postponed as we prioritise what we do and try and minimise any risk the pupils and staff within our schools. So moving on to some of the milestones that we've achieved and recently since the last update to Property Subcommittee, is that I'm pleased to confirm that our early learning childcare expansion plan is gone as well as anywhere in Scotland, and we're offering our 1140 hours offer within Perth and Kinross, throughout Perth and Kinross. Towards the end of last calendar year, we completed the 1.1 million nursery at Oak Bank Primary School, and also the 1.9 million in Stewart Primary School nursery. So both these facilities now are operational. Also, we were undertaking a 6.2 million extension and refurbishment at Lonforgan Primary School. So that now is complete. It was completed at the start of this calendar year and became operational on the 2nd of February of this year. Moving on with the new school, which will be bringing together our pupils at Balhousie and North Muirton to a new 16.4 million primary school at North Muirton. That is progressing well. We've signed off the stage 1 report with our contractor. Towards the end of 2020, I'm pleased to confirm that we bid to the Scottish Government for funding towards the project, which we were successful. So this will give the council 50% of the total cost of the project, a return back over a 25-year period, assuming we meet all the conditions of the grant offer. The plan application for North Muirton and Balhousie was submitted in January of this year, and we had our user reference group, which are kind of our key individuals within the project to ensure we communicate with them effectively. So that took place on the 24th of February of this year. Moving on to the new 58.5 million replacement at Perth High School. Similar to North Muirton Balhousie, we've signed the stage 1 report with the contractor and moving forwards. And once again, the second project that Perth and Kinross Council bid for to the Scottish Government was successful. And once again, we will receive 50% of the project costs over a 25-year period returned to the council. So that's some of the main highlights that have happened since the last Property Subcommittee. So at this point then I will move on to the appendix, and I'll run through each project. There'll be a brief update if I've not covered it, and I'll pause for any questions. So the £24 million replacement Blairgowrie Recreational Centre, which also consists of the PE department of Blairgowrie High School. So the project has been progressing. We've had a number of user reference groups leading up to, and there's also one just been kind of arranged now to be taking place. Looks like provisionally the 19th of May, or certainly around about the middle of May, the next user reference group. We've now received the stage 1 for the recreational centre, so the design team are just working through that, and we're looking to sign that off before the end of the month. On timelines, originally we had anticipated that the new centre would become operational in March 23, but unfortunately due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it's looking likely to be later in 2023, provisionally at the minute looking at November 23. So that's Blairgowrie. I'll see if there's any hands. No, okay, nope. So I'll move on to the next one, which is in Stewart Primary School. So as I mentioned earlier, the new nursery, the 1.9 million investment was completed in December and is now operational. Okay, there doesn't seem to be any hands, so I'll move on to Lonforgan, which I touched on earlier. So that's the extension and refurbishment of Lonforgan Primary School, which was completed at the start of the year and is now operational and opened on the 2nd of February, and all the pupils returned. And a big thank you to Errol Primary School for accommodating the pupils during the transition phase. So that's the completion of Lonforgan. I don't see any hands, so I will move on. So once again, I touched on earlier the new school at North Muirton for Balhousie and North Muirton is going as well as it can be with the project. We were originally anticipating August 22, which was the date for the new joint school to come together, but that's now looking likely to be April 23. The school will probably be complete around about February 23, but we work with the two schools and the most practical point for the new school to open. Okay, I don't see any hands there, so I'll move on again. So Oakbank Nursery, once again, I've highlighted earlier, the 1.1 million in nursery there extension is now complete and is now operational. Okay, so moving on to Perth Academy. Obviously we're working through the school. It's obviously a live environment, so we're having to do the phases within the school and working around it being a live environment with the pupils and the staff. The progress to date, fire compliance works have now been completed. Pupil toilet refurbishment and drainage works have been carried out. We've also installed new CCTV and corridor lighting within the school. We've undertaken some structural repairs within the school, improved the courtyard access, additional ventilation within the craft design and technology, and major infrastructure works have commenced within the physical education building. So the next kind of works that we're working through, which we're calling phase 2, is to look to try and improve social space and undertake classroom refurbishments, and also carry on with the infrastructure works within the PE building. So this project will be kind of live for a long period and working through the challenges of a live environment, but the works continue to be taken forward.
Convener, I'm waving my arm in the air on the Academy one when Greg's ready. Yes.
Yes, yeah, Councillor Wilson, please come in.
Apologies, Councillor Wilson. I saw your hand right at the beginning, and I thought it might be a general question that waited to the end rather than a specific question. So, my apologies for that.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
I've one in the high school as well, just to give early notice of that. But quite happy to take it case by case. Thanks for the report, first of all. Do we have some timelines, or when will we know the timelines for phase 2? That's probably a joint question to Greg and Stephen.
Yeah, maybe it's maybe Brian Reed's on the call. Brian, are you able to update exactly where we are on the phase 2?
Yeah, which project, Councillor Wilson, for phase 2?
Perth Academy, I think.
I'm on Perth Academy phase 2. Just
yeah.
I'm not asking for all the timelines now. I'm just asking when we'll be advised of them, because obviously it's a topical issue in a local context. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's a number of things within that, because we're looking at a couple of different elements there. There'll be a second phase once we've completed this first phase of classroom upgrades. We've got 10 classes to fully upgrade and develop with our modern AV technology, full refurbs of the rooms and infrastructure and so forth. We'll then move on to another phase, which is looking at the next set of classrooms. So over the summer period, we'll start to design and identify those rooms and to develop a program for those. And indeed, we'll be looking at a larger feasibility study with regards to the science block area of the academy, which is a far greater piece of work and quite an in-depth piece of work to look at how we modernise that building. So there'll be some time till we get any information on the specifics around building work to the science block. But for the phase 2 of the classroom upgrades, I would hope to by later in the summer time. So I'm sure by probably the next update to this, or an update about October this year, we should have the phase 2 of the classrooms planned out and know when that's to be happening.
That's great. That's exactly the information I wanted. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Was there anything on Perth High, Councillor Wilson, you wanted to mention? Just whether
was, well, first of all, to note there's a meeting of the user reference group a week tomorrow, which I think local members have been invited to. And just to clarify, I'm very grateful for the work that was done that achieved the 50% funding from the Scottish Government. That's going to be extreme thanks to officers for that, everybody involved. But do we know the mechanics of? Obviously, we'll have to tick some boxes in order to comply with the rules of the financial support. But we've had that in writing, and it's quite secure, provided we do all the tick box jumping through hoop stuff. Is that
Yes.
Is my interpretation correct? Or yeah.
There's a number of conditions, Councillor Wilson, which we're working through with the Scottish Features Trust. I suppose there's a wee bit of learning from them and for us, but we're working jointly with them. We report to the Perth High Board, so we're working through that. There's a number of workshops that have been set up and continue to be set up, so we're working very closely with them to ensure we do that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to Perth Grammar School. Obviously, once again, it's a kind of live environment which we're working through. Obviously, we've improved the entrance and reception and the admin facilities within the school, and currently we're just at the point of completing phase 1 of the toilet upgrades, which should be complete, and we're moving on to this phase 2 of the toilet upgrades, which will be starting more or less any day now.
Okay, any questions? No, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on then to Perth High School, as we kind of mentioned earlier, that's progressing well, and as Councillor Wilson indicated, we have a user reference group happening next week with all our kind of key stakeholders. And originally on timelines we were looking at August 23, but we'll obviously work with school about the most sensible time to do the move, but realistically it's potentially looking now at summer 24.
Okay. Okay, again, no questions.
Okay. So, and the final one, just up to date, convener and the committee, is the Rattler Primary School, Nursery Extension and Refurbishment, and I'm pleased to confirm that enablement works happened during Easter break, and we're ready to go to site in June of this year. The nursery will be complete for May 2022, so just roughly 12 months that will be complete, and the full project will be complete by the summer of 22. So that I'm glad to see that's now moving forward, and the people over at will see the investment within the school of 4.3 million starting now.
Okay.
So thank you, convener. Happy to take any other questions. If not, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks very much, Greg. Are there any further questions to Greg's report? I don't see any, so thank you very much, Greg and team, for coming along this morning and updating us. We now move on to the private section of the meeting this morning, and I would just take advice from Audrey. Do we log out and log back in, or do we remain on the meeting?
We will end this session and you'll enter the private session that should have been sent to you this morning.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much, and we'll see you all shortly in the private session. Thank you.